And it's not a comic at all. It's a serious poem about God. And I think the question was, do I ever feel I want to do more serious writing? I used to feel that way, but I really don't anymore. I think I've written just about anything, everything I've wanted to say. And the poem God Woke says pretty much everything I believe about things like that. So I just enjoy doing things that are entertaining now. If I can write something that entertains people, I think that's about. I want to add, when I was young and I was doing comics, I was very, almost embarrassed. I felt there were people building bridges and doing medical research and really important things in the world. And here I am writing these ridiculous comic books. But as the years went by, so many people have said, I've enjoyed these books. And they were so helpful when I was feeling bad or sad, and they cheered me up. And I began to realize that entertainment is a very important thing in people's lives. Certainly in mine, I want to be entertained. So now I don't feel as guilty about doing what I do, because I feel if anybody can do anything that entertains other people or makes them feel better, then that's a pretty good thing. So that made me feel good anyway.
I just want to say I really enjoyed your role in Mallrats, particularly when you were trying to explain how each character represented a different feeling and emotion. I just wanted to know if that was you that said that, or whether it was just part of the script that was handed to you.
I don't know why I only seem to hear the first part. The first part was I really enjoyed your role in Mallrats, and then the rest of it sounded like, and I wanted to. And what was the rest of it? Oh, that's a funny question. Did I make up any of that, or was it in the script? I'll tell you why it's funny. In Mallrats, in my role, I'm talking to a young man who is having trouble in love. And I'm telling him not to feel bad because this girl rejected him or something. And I said, when I was young, there was a girl I loved, and I've never been able to forget her. And went on like that. So when I got home the next day, my wife said, what was this about that girl in Mallrats that you've loved and you've never been able to forget? And I said, honey, it's a movie. It was a script. I didn't write it. Well, did you have to take a part like that where you're talking about girls you couldn't forget? And it took me a while. I had to go out and buy her a present to get it. So that's a bad moment in my life.
How you doing? My name's Servo. First, thank you for the Incredible Hulk. He's been one of my favourite characters. I'm always arguing with friends that he would destroy their favourite characters. But who do you think is the most powerful character, villain or hero in the Marvel Universe?
Well, the most powerful character in the Marvel Universe, normally I would say the Hulk, because he's so strong, and the more he fights, the stronger he gets. But by the same token, Thor is a god. So it's very difficult for me to say that the Hulk is the most powerful. But when Thor keeps fighting, he doesn't get stronger. I think it's a toss-up. I think if you're a Hulk fan, the Hulk is the most powerful. If you're a Thor. One question so many people ask me, they'll say things like, if the Hulk had a fight with Thor, who would win? And my cowardly answer is always, it depends on who's writing the story.
Hello Stan, my name's Ben, nice to meet you. We touched on it earlier with MJ. Do you put as much thought into the love interest of the characters as you do to the main character itself?
Did I put as much thought into the love stories as the main characters?
Yes.
By love stories, you mean the girl? Yeah. Well, yeah, I put a lot of thought into the girlfriends because I'm kind of interested in that. See, what you do in any of those stories, the first thing, I know who the characters are, who the hero is, so I got to find a villain. And I got to get the most powerful villain I can so it looks as though the hero doesn't have a chance. Then, in a lot of the stories, to make it interesting, you want to put a girl. So do you make the girl a villainess, who the hero will fall in love with, only to find out she's bad? Or do you make her a good girl that the hero is going to have to rescue? Or do you, and there's so many variations you can get. So you give it a lot of thought. But the main thought is, who is the main villain? What is the locale? And what is the problem? Is the villain going to blow up the Houses of Parliament? Is he going to set the moon on fire? Yeah, those are the big things. Then if you have time, you think about the girl. And that is not to put females down in any way. I don't want to be misunderstood.
Hi Stan, I'm Steve. I write children's adventure books for a living, and that's because you made me want to write stories, so I thank you for that. And I wondered what you felt about the 70s Incredible Hulk TV series with Bill Bixby and the David Force CG.
First of all, congratulations on writing the books for a living. I loved the Incredible Hulk TV series. And I like the fact that he was not as big as he is in the movies. He was only about 7 feet tall. And if you think about it, those of you who remember the Hulk TV series, it was an hour show, and you only saw the Hulk for about 3 minutes in the beginning and 3 minutes at the end, but you waited to see him all during the show. It was a great show, went on for years, everybody loved it. And Lou Ferrigno, who played the Hulk, will probably be doing the Hulk's voice in the next Avengers movie.
Thank you. Hi Stan, nice to meet you. My name's Chris. I've worked just across the river as a policeman in Greenwich, and your work's just it inspired me and given me a higher moral code. And I always grew up wanting to be a hero, and I think the closest thing I could remain was working in the police, and that's down to you in a large way, so I'd say thank you. My question is, if your house was on fire, it's not on fire, but if it was, and you could save one comic, what would you run back in and save?
Unfortunately, I don't have a comic book collection. I was never smart enough to save the book. None of us in those days ever thought they'd be worth anything. But if I had a comic book collection, I would save Spider-Man #1, because I think that would bring in the most money.
Hi Sam, my name's Maxine. I'm actually reading your autobiography at the moment. You've led a really interesting life. My question to you is, did your wife Joni have any influence on your writing or any of the characters you created?
My wife? No, I must admit, my wife had a lot of influence on me, but on none of my characters. No, she never had anything to do with the stories that I wrote. She was too busy cooking and cleaning. At least she'll tell you that.
Hi Stan, my name's Jamie. Firstly, if I don't ask it and I regret it, I just want to shake your hand and just say thank you for all the comments over the years.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. If I could just add one more thing, it would be, is there anything left that you've left behind, which one more character or one more super team that's maybe going to be released? Is there anything left that you haven't yet done?
There are a number of things I haven't yet done, but right now, this new company I have called POW Entertainment, we're working on movies and television shows, so you'll be seeing them on the screen rather than in comic. Although I'm still doing a few comic books. I don't know, I can't remember if I mentioned it to you before. I have a book called The Mighty Seven that's coming out shortly. And it's the world's first reality comic book because there are real people in the adventure story. I'm one of them. And you'll be seeing that. But mainly, we're working on things for the screen, which you'll also be seeing. And those things go much slower than comics. It'll be a year or two before you'll be seeing them.
Hi Stan, my name's Oliver. I'm 16, so I'm leaving school and I'm just going into the world. So I'm quite keen, as you said earlier, I'm quite keen on the idea of doing what I love doing and making a living out of it. So I just wanted to know what was the best advice you could give to someone for creation in general.
Well, I thought I had mentioned it before, but the only thing I could suggest is reading as much as you can. And when you read, try to think of what books and what stories and what parts of stories interest you the most and what parts don't. When you're reading a book, what do you stay with and you dwell over? And maybe you read it a second time because you liked it. And what part do you read very quickly because it's really not interesting you that much? And try to figure out, why did I like that part? Why didn't I like that part? And from that, you sort of learn how to make what you write interesting. You eliminate the dull stuff and you keep to the good stuff. But other than that, I don't know what advice I can give except just keep reading a lot. The more you read, the better a writer you'll be, I think. Good luck.
Hi Stan. I just wanted to ask, how does it feel to have your own theme park?
Oh, I don't have my own theme park. Walt Disney does. But it would be nice to have a theme park, and if anyone wants to build one for me, I'll be very happy to build it. What?
He's talking about Adventureland.
Oh, the ride I have. Yeah, there is a Spider-Man ride in the Universal theme park in Orlando, Florida. Do they have one here? No. Well, yeah, it should. And the funny thing about it, right in front of the ride, there's a lamppost. And on the sign, it says Stanley Boulevard. I get a big kick out of that. I'm a boulevard. Of course, it only extends for about 8 feet.
Hi, Stan. Huge fan for about 30 years. Is it possible to get my picture taken shaking your hand?
You should never stay.
Shaking your hand.
Where's your camera?
Right there. Thank you.
It's easier than answering your question.
Good evening. I'm his wife for over 10 years. I'm a big novel reader, and comic books are an acquired taste for me. I have been introduced to comic book universe by him, and I have been in a lot of trouble. I have been in a lot of conventions, and now it's a big honor for me to be here to meet a legend for comic book universe. I have only one request from you. As being a good wife for over 10 years, being in comic book universe, or done all my duties as a wife, can I get a big hug from you, please?
Gee, I don't know, you're asking me to hug a pretty girl? Why would I want to do that? You're a lucky guy. That's the kind of question I like.
Hi Stan, my name's Julian. Just want you to know that I love you like a second father. If you could pass on the love and just say, make my marvel to my son Taylor, who couldn't be here today because of all the queuing. And if you can say that to the camera, to my son Taylor,
Oh, I
make
think
my
I can do
marvel,
that.
that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
I can handle that. Ready? Here we go. Make mine marvel.
Hi Stan, my name's Jeff. I don't want a hug, but I would love a handshake, if that's okay.
Sure. There you go. I'm one of the great handshakers of the Western Hemisphere.
Hi Stan, I'm John. First off, thanks all for a fantastic childhood of reading your vast array of comics. The question is something I've been thinking about when I was reading them back in the past, is all your characters are, well, they've all got superpowers, except for, well, pretty much one of them, Iron Man. His powers come from his power armor suit, so what inspired you to bring up that character?
I think I heard Iron Man. Oh. Well, Iron Man doesn't have superpowers, but he has that suit. And what I really thought of when I was creating Iron Man, I thought of Howard Hughes, who was an inventor, an adventurer, a very rich man, a great businessman. And I thought it would be, this was in a time when there were hippies and people really were against the military-industrial complex. Young people didn't care much for wealthy men, and they didn't care much for people who manufactured munitions and things like that. And I thought it would be a challenge to get a hero who manufactured weapons and was very wealthy, and I kind of enjoyed that idea. And then, of course, he had to have a superpower, and I thought I would give him the iron armor. I love the name Iron Man, but every character has to have a weakness, so we also gave him a weak heart. And a funny thing about Iron Man, we got more mail from females for Iron Man than for any other comic, because I think females love the idea. He's rich, he's handsome, and he needs nursing. And I'd be so perfect for him. I have a feeling that's what it was. Anyway, that's a long answer, but there you go.
Hi Stan.
I'm still listening.
Oh, great. I'm Dave. Thank you, like everybody else, thank you so much for your life's work, because we do appreciate and we do love everything you've done.
I should be thanking all of you, but anyway, thank you.
One of the things that impressed me the most about your creations and Marvel is the fact that it's all one continuity in one universe. When did you make the decision to put all your characters in the same universe together? And has the continuity issue been a bit of a problem sometimes?
Good question. I actually heard that whole thing. I understood it. I wanted to put all our characters in the same universe because it made it easier for me to write the stories. If I put them all in New York City, that's where I lived. So I knew the city and I could make it authentic. I could put them in different parts of the city. But also, I wanted the characters to be able to guest star in each other's stories. Now, how would I do that if one was in London, one was in France, one was in California? But if they were all in the same city, they could meet each other, whether accidentally or on purpose. So it made it very easy for me to make it seem like they were all living in the same universe, actually in the same city. And if they bumped into each other, it was a perfectly natural thing to happen. It just made the stories easier for me to write by having them all in New York. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Jason. A lot of people collect, obviously, comic books and action figures and things. Do you collect anything?
No, I actually don't collect action figures, although I have a lot of them because people send them to me. And I think they're wonderful. There are even a few Stan Lee action figures. But I don't go out of my way to collect them because I don't have the time.
Do you collect anything?
Pardon me?
Do you collect anything?
Do I collect anything?
Yeah.
You know, I never thought of that.
Get a lot of awards.
Well, I don't go out and look for them, though.
But they give them to you.
No, I'm really not a collector. It's strange, I never thought of that before. My wife is. My wife collects everything, but I'm not a collector, no.
Hi Stan, my name's Wei. I'm just here to say thank you, and following on from what you were saying before about comparing to people who build roads and bridges, I do that, but I prefer to do what you do because you create entire universes. So thank you for creating the Marvel Universe, and the question I have for you is, if you were starting in the comic industry again now, what would you do?
If I were starting the comic industry now, what would I do? I would pray for a few good ideas. I would do just, I guess, what I did years ago. I would try to think of some new characters and try to write them so guys like you would enjoy reading them. And you're never sure you can do it, but that's the objective anyway.
Stan, I know I'm not sexy or a lady, but can I have a hug?
Another hug?
Yeah, please.
It won't be as good as with that young lady before. Okay, nice seeing you. Thank you. I never thought I'd be afforded for a hug.
Hi Stan, my name's Aaron. You've been a big influence of all your characters and stories in my life, like helped me become who I am through the morals I've learned through your stories. And my question for you is, outside the Marvel Universe, who is your favourite superhero?
Outside the Marvel Universe, my favorite superhero is me, somebody said. I guess maybe Batman. I don't know that many of the others. Whenever anybody asks me for other characters, I think Superman, Batman, and then I don't even know any others. And since Bob Kane was a friend of mine, I'll say Batman.
Hi Stan, my name's Patrick. I don't really have a question. I was just going to sit here and bask in your awesomeness. After listening to everyone talking, I do realise that my whole life I've kind of lived on certain values that I've picked up from obviously reading all the comics that you've brought out over the years, and it's helped me to bring up two great children. And I'm just wondering if I could get a photo with you and my kids, because we missed the photo for the photo today. Going to get your autograph, CGCs, yeah, and we missed the queue completely, so we never got the photo. So if I could we please have a photo with you? We won't be in tomorrow, it's the only day we could get, so.
I couldn't hear a word.
We just want a picture. We just want a picture.
A picture?
Yes.
Oh,
With
sure.
the children.
But what did he say first
He
that
doesn't
made
have-
everybody laugh?
You're incredible guy.
Oh, why did they laugh?
We didn't have a question. We just wanted to bask in the awesomeness.
Oh, well, I can understand that.
George, move to the next one.
Okay, here we go.
Sir.
There we go. You get in wherever you can.
Very good. Ready?
A, B, C.
Good.
One more. What? A, B, C. Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh.
Hi
Yes,
Stan.
yes.
Hi Stan, I'm Phil. Most popular comics these days are targeted at those aged 12 and over, but you've actually aimed your new line of comics at children. You've announced a new line for children. How important do you think are under 12s to the future of the comic industry?
Well, I heard that whole thing. When I was writing the stories, and even today when I write stories, I don't really think of the reader's age, what I've always tried to do was write a story that would, pardon me? Oh, write a story that would interest and entertain a grown-up, but be easy enough to understand for a young person. So I may have mentioned earlier, my idol when I was young was Walt Disney, because the movies he did were for everybody, young people, old people, men, women, and I always tried to write those kind of stories that would be good for little kids and for grown people. And that's what I always do. I never think of a particular age that I'm writing for.
Hi Stan, Charles here. Just want to ask you a question with regards to your career. What else would you have done if not this one?
After all these cameos, I think I might have enjoyed being an actor. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I think that's what I would pick.
Hi Stan, I'm Alan from Scotland. I just want to say it's a pleasure to meet you today, and thank you for coming. With the variety of characters that have been created over the last however many years, do you think it's more difficult nowadays for creators to come up with new characters?
Is it more difficult now to come out with a new character? Probably because so many have been created.